ne ye kumbo ebe ekumbo ye burbo bise nga keli livanane ele ekumbo ye lolome.
Ensemble, main dans la main pour préserver l'unité de notre cher et beau pays, le Cameroun.
C'est un message de Royal FM, la radio des auditeurs.
Yellow, il est 14h.
Yellow, pour vous maintenir connecté à l'essentiel et à ceux qui vous sont chers, nous continuons d'élargir notre couverture réseau et en le modernisant chaque jour pour vous garantir la meilleure expérience sur le réseau indomptable. Alors, on fait quoi aujourd'hui?
Subscribe to Maso Classic. Maso Classic for a strong and prosperous economy.
The 2Pm Newscast
with ABEL BELA SAMARI.
Good afternoon, blessed people. It is Monday, July the 24th, 2023. It is 2 p.m. It is Royal Afternoon Edition. We take you to our lead stories. The CRM, Cameroon Renaissance Movement Party, postponed upcoming national convention at a time when Barrister Tamfu Richard stands tall to challenge Professor Maurice Kamto, booked to appear before the Disciplinary Council. Is the CRM party witch hunting Kamto's challengers?
This declaration of candidature is a fundamental human right, but at the same time, it violates the rules of the party because the party law says 30 days to the date of election, candidature should be called.
And still to come in this edition of our 2 p.m. newscast, we talk misery. Mystery in the sense that a man resurrects in Gosu neighborhood here in Yaoundé after 3 months on earth. How possible? Staff lady Mapala Zita will be telling us more in this edition of our 2 p.m. newscast. And in sport, join Evans William Jobati with our Monday Sport Fire, in which we talk about cricket. Stay tuned for these and more. Good afternoon once again. My name is ABEL BELA SAMARI. We'll open our news to talk politics. And in politics, we talk the Cameroon Renaissance Movement 3rd Ordinary Convention, slated to take place in the month of November, has been postponed to the 9th and 10th of December 2023 here in Yaoundé. The information has been made public at a time when the Secretary General of the party has filed a complaint against 2 members of that political party at the National Committee for Arbitration and Mediation for defamation and anti-party activities, just to name but these. Jementa, our editor-in-chief by interim, you cornered the Secretary General of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement Party to dig deep into the upcoming convention and other burning issue in the Cameroon Renaissance Movement Party.
Created in 2012, the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, just like any other political party, has witnessed in-house fight and the need for a convention, according to the party's Secretary General, Barrister Don Christopher, is
that the mandate of the directorate, that is the National Bureau, that was elected in 2018, is expiring in 2023, which means 5 years, so that we can come out of this convention to get an elected bureau that will run the party from 2023 to 2028, 5 years.
And if the main agenda of this convention is on elections, some burning issues are pending in line with the recent outings of Barrister Richard Tamfu.
The National Committee for Arbitration and Mediation, that of Tamfu, Richard, and Nutak Aman. They are waiting for this committee to hand down its ruling, brought before the commission for 1. Defamation, 2. Anti-party activities, 3. Operating a WhatsApp group in the name of the party unauthorized. So they have to answer those charges. If they are found guilty, they too will be expelled or suspended. The sanction goes from warning, suspension, and expulsion.
In regard with Barrister Richard Tamful will be to challenge Professor Maurice Kamto at the head of the CRM party. Why do party's members see it as a provocation?
All of this they are doing in violation of the party text. The party text says that until when the Secretary General will put out a communique calling for candidatures for any militant who wants to run the party, become president and his bureau, will do it in a list system. Until that communique of the Secretary General comes out, we should not be pretending to say we are candidates.
And if Barrister Tamful Richard's complaint came before his declarations to challenge Professor Maurice Kamto, the commission, after hearings, will rule out if Barrister Tamful Richard is expelled or suspended.
Jementa, in that report, the second session of the political dialogue mechanism between the Ministry of External Relations of Cameroon and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Brazil equally will take place. So the deliberations will be co-chaired by the Minister of External Relations, ABEL Bela. The very first political mechanism dialogue we seek to strengthen diplomatic ties between the two countries was held on the 17th of June 2021. To this other information, the West and Central African members of the Commonwealth Local Development Forum are meeting in Yaoundé beginning from this Tuesday, the 25th to the 27th of July. In prelude to the day, the Minister of Decentralization and Local Development, George Elanga Obam, also Vice Chairman of the Commonwealth Local Development Forum, will today receive at his ministry in audience a petitioner delegation from the Commonwealth to discuss on the forum, which will take place in one of the hotels here in Yaoundé, and will be reinforcing resilience in the local development sector and share experience on good practices from across the region. We propose to you to listen to the focal point of the Commonwealth Local Government Forum in the Ministry of Decentralization, Elso Catherine Mogahamfo, who spoke on the issue of the upcoming conference on a national station.
A good number of organizations that have cropped from it, and amongst which is the Commonwealth Local Government Forum. And this forum is found in all the member countries of the Commonwealth. Inclusive is Gabon and Togo, who just joined the Commonwealth, and they are already part of the Commonwealth Local Government Forum. And this organization, they are in charge of the local economic development of their member countries. So they usually have a biennial meeting. That's a meeting that takes place every 2 years. The last meeting took place in Ghana. That was in 2014. And because of the COVID, the world crisis, this meeting could not take place the way it was planned in 2016. And until now, the meeting has not taken place. And for this reason, because the world health crisis is under control, they decided this time around that they should have a physical meeting as it has been before. And Cameroon was chosen to host this important meeting where they will be talking things that concerns local economic development, things that concerns decentralization. And you may ask me why the Ministry of Decentralization and Local Development is so involved in the issue. The ministry is so involved in the issue because the minister represents Cameroon in that organization. The minister is the vice chair of that organization. He's the executive member of that organization, and he's a board member of that organization.
The National Youth Observatory Ordinary Steering Committee are meeting in their first ordinary session for the year 2023 at the Yaoundé Conference Center. That meeting began since the early hours of 11 a.m. today. The session will be presided over by the Minister of Youth Affairs and Civic Education, Monina Foso, Center on the technical assessment of the observatory, as well as on the presentation and adoption of the term of reference of the steering document of the observatory, amongst many other issues. Details in a subsequent edition of our newscast. I will talk this other information. The 12th edition of the Government Action Fair, known in its French acronym as SAGO, has opened today in Yaoundé. The Action Fair is launched by the Prime Minister, Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph John Gute, precisely at the Yaoundé Multipurpose Sports Complex. And in line with this launch, Finwe Crispin, you interview some Yaoundé city dwellers to get their impression about Sago initiative. And you compiled their view in the following report.
Most Yaoundé city dwellers we took our mic to had little or no idea about the existence of the Government Action Fair Sago.
Actually, I have no idea about Sago, no idea.
Truly speaking, I don't really know their purpose about all those things. In fact, I don't even know their whereabouts, truly speaking.
Valentine, on his part, seems not to be completely blank when the Government Action Fair Sago is mentioned.
I used to hear when they talk about Sago, but I don't really know the organization. But I've come to hear about it, that it is an organization that has been long for about 12 years. I think multi-sport, something like that.
Contrary to others, Blessing has been gathering a lot of information about the Sago initiative, hence, she has much to say.
It brings together economic actors and producers. It encourages the production of homemade products, and I think that the initiative is a good one because it reduces the rate of importing goods. So when Cameroonians tend to come up with their own goods produced by themselves, so the initiative is a good one.
The Government Action Fair Sago is an annual event that provides an opportunity for the Cameroonian government to present its fields of action as regards the socio-political and economic development of the country.
Finwick Crispin in that report. We talk economic in this edition of 2pm Newscast. To say economic operators in Cameroon will in the days ahead import about 150,000 tons of rice to supply the local markets in the last quarter of the year 2023. The instruction was given by the Minister of Commerce, Luke Magwabaga Tangana, during a consultation meeting which took place in Yaoundé last Tuesday, July the 18th, 2023. But how do economists receive the decision by the minister amid import substitution move? Eratu Sunduye, you discuss with some of them.
The decision by the Minister of Commerce, Luc Magwabaga Tagana, to increase the importation of rice for about 150,000 tons is on the heels to guarantee supply in the local market government during the festive period, which is usually marked by a high rise of consumption. A timely perspective, according to the economics, Chene Constantine.
It's a good initiative because the fact that the government wants variety and the government wants some importation is to make sure that Cameroonians do not suffer. And you know, imports increase variety and the supply of goods and services at home. Last year, the Minister for Agriculture is projecting that they want Cameroon to be self-sufficient. They have not yet had the finances. They need to buy the technology. They have not allocated the land necessary for the production of rice.
Though paradoxical, the instruction comes at a time when the government is promoting import substitution, which consists of reducing massive import by developing local production and processing. As on May 16, 2023, the Minister of Agriculture launched the implementation of about 385 billion CF reference strategy to develop the rice sector aimed at boosting the local rice production for 750,000 tons yearly on 2030, thereby eliminating imports, something not really possible, according to confirmed by Chene Constantine.
It is not paradoxical because the Minister for Commerce is taking a short-term measure, but the Minister of Agriculture wants a medium and long-term solution to the importation of rice crisis. There is no country that can be completely self-reliant in all domains. No, you always have shortages in one field. All countries do not have the same endowment.
However, the decision is considered as a double-edged sword to another economic chubby protos who thinks that it will cause the country to
allow our resources to be lying idle, because when you tend to import more than you produce, meanwhile there are indicators that you can produce what you are importing, you will not be making use of those resources, so it is dangerous. Meanwhile, and if those resources are being put into use, you'll see it will lead to fast rates of economic growth.
It is thus important to note that Cameroon imports about 652,000 tons of rice yearly and spend close to 162 billion, according to the National Institute for Statistics.
Eratus Nduye. In that report onto education, private secondary schools teachers have resolved to push for a better working condition in their sector. This was during an extraordinary General Assembly of the National Syndicate for Private Secondary School Teachers in Cameroon, which took place over the weekend. Mapalazita caught up with the national president of NAPTIC, who shed more light on the syndicate and its mission. Take a listen to Halek Celestine in the following excerpt.
Where we are driving to improve the working environment and make sure that the school administrators should not just go ahead and handpick teachers anyhow and recruit, because if there is coordination, then this syndicate together with SEDUC, which is in charge of private schools in Cameroon, will be able to coordinate the teachers. We will be working with all education stakeholders, especially the government, the proprietors, the teachers, the parents, the students, and every other person who is involved in education. The main challenge is to raise the finances to deposit documents for official authorization, and also the fact that majority of these teachers are lukewarm to come to physical meetings.
You are listening to Royal Afternoon Edition, the 2 p.m. newscast, coming to you from Royal 88.4 FM. And still to come in the course of this newscast, a man resurrects in the neighborhoods of Ngosu here in Yaoundé after being buried for close to 3 months. How possible is that?
This is not a natural death. The soul is foul, and he will go and walk as a mystical slave somewhere as a zombie.
Stay tuned for that story when Mapalazita join me in the studio. But before then, we'll talk about this International Day. Cameroon today celebrates the National Cousin Day, which is geared at honoring the unique and extraordinary bond people share with their cousins. Just like other siblings and friends, cousins also hold an important place in our life. They guide us in difficult situations, give us a special memory and confidence and pillars of support. But do Cameroonians know their cousins? That is a question our own Ratu Sunduye put to some of them. Compare their view in the following Vox Pop.
I know my cousins very well, and I share a very close bond with them. They are like my sisters. They always provide solutions to my problems. I love being with them.
I have a lot of cousins, but I do not have a good relationship with them because I hardly know one of them. I just know a few of my cousins, and we hardly talk and don't have any interactions.
I actually had a favorite cousin, though he's of late, named David. He was my favorite cousin, so I think that was the only close relationship I had. That was my only close cousin I had. I have cousins like Snowford, Amadine, but I just know that one is in Bamenda, one is in Douala. Like, I don't even know what they're up to, so the relationship is just there.
I have a lot of cousins, but I don't know some of them. I do know some, and there are some that I know that don't really have this cordial relationship. First, because I think we were not properly introduced. I did not get to know them maybe from childbirth and stuff like that. So I only grew up into an adult before I could know most of my cousins. It's rather now that I'm struggling to connect with my cousins.
I know some of my cousins because during some family meetings we get to know each other. I know some of them, but since the family is very big, I don't know all of them. So at times it just happens that I go to a place, I see people are just, the name is just familiar to me, and when I want to discover, I say that no, the person is my cousin, we are from the same family.
And in this light, Ngwenyi Victorine, a sociologist, come back on the basis of a cousin and the important role they play in our daily life.
Your cousin is just like your brother or your sister. First of all, who is a cousin? Your cousin is either your maternal or paternal auntie or uncle's son or daughter. That is, your cousin is either the daughter or son of your maternal or your paternal uncle or auntie. It is very important for us to know our cousins because, first of all, our cousins are just like our brothers and sisters because they come from the same lineage like your mother or like your father. So your mother's sister's son or daughter is like a brother to you because you consider that our mother's brother is like your father and your mother's sister is like your own mother. That is how our African culture considers it.
Madam Ngwenyi Victorine goes further to outline some of the danger that is being associated if people fail to know their cousins.
If we don't know our cousins, it is very, very irrespectful and it is very, very dangerous because of this blood
link, there is something that tends to pull them together when they meet. And we will think that it is love. That one is blood love. It is family love, but it is going to be misinterpreted as the kind of love between a man and a woman, like carnal love. And in most cases, they will get married, or they might go into some sort of carnal relationships without knowing, which is too bad, and it is considered incest. So you see, parents have this obligation, they have this duty to make their children to know the children of either their brothers or their sisters. That is to make the children, first of all, to know their aunties and their uncles, and then to know the children coming from these aunties and uncles. So that is very important.
We'll take you to our human interest page. We begin with the sad incident that occurred in the Littoral region, where about 16 people died and several others injured at the Dokoti neighborhood in Douala, Littoral region of Cameroon, following a building that collapsed in that part of the country. The incident in Douala took place on Sunday morning, and many blamed the incident on the quality of material used in the construction of that 4-story building. As student journalist on internship, Awasiwi Darren interviewed some Cameroonians with a question on the quality of material they use in their different buildings.
People don't really take time to look for professionals to advise them on the site they have to build, because they don't just construct anywhere. We have to look for good area.
Who do not have enough and who obviously want to will go for the cheap ones because maybe the money is not available, and then so they will deal with what they have because obviously they have to build. And in cases where some even buy the good materials, they would want to economize, so they would maybe use it abnormally. And sometimes the problem is not even the person who is removing the money to build, but the people that you put in charge to build, and they would want to steal from you. So they would economize so that they can have their own part of the materials and sell, make profit.
The lack of quality in the materials that are used, and also the lack of competence on the technicians side also, because nowadays you see people, engineers that are building houses, they don't have original plans. Like they're just building anything anyhow anywhere, and that's a problem. I think that the main thing here is the quality of the material that you, and then the incompetence of some engineers.
And following the incident that took place in Dobong in Douala, Finwick is being caught up with the civil engineering experts Alberto Kamga, who explained the reason why such a building could collapse and an advice to the general public.
Generally, there are two causes. The first cause is the quality of the materials. The second cause is underground soil erosion. In this case, the quality of the material is not in court because the building has been under exploitation for long. So people have been living there, activities has been going on normally. So I think here the major cause is underground soil erosion. People should be very careful with the type of material they use for their backfill. You know, sometimes when you tell a client, sir, for your structure to last long, you have to use, for example, a granular material like pozzolan or gravel. They may find it very dear, and they would like to sometimes backfill with clay soil. Clay soil doesn't resist erosion, so the erosion can take place for a long time, for long years, inside the ground, under the foundations, under the footing, and you will never know. You will just find out one day that okay, there are large cracks, or even that the building has collapsed.
We'll still stay in our societal news to say some neighborhoods in the capital city of Yaoundé have witnessed light seizure for about 3 days, leaving most Yaoundé city dwellers in darkness. Though the company in charge of distributing electricity in Cameroon informed of this seizure, the inhabitants of the neighborhoods affected still went through some difficulties throughout the week, and they expressed their view in the following report compiled for us by our own Christian Mando.
Currently, we don't even have light, and the whole of last week the light kept coming and going, and we even went for Friday and Saturday with no light.
It was really difficult. I even thought that by night they could bring small energy so that people may charge phones before they cut it again, but nothing.
Mary and Brianna are among the Yaoundé city dwellers who witnessed power shortage in their neighborhoods. The absence of electricity in most homes in the capital city led to some damages. Mary and Olivia are victims.
The way this light keeps going off, things keep getting bad in the fridge. All our food, the food that we had kept, it got sour. Our fish, our meat, they got rotten. I don't know what is happening. I don't understand how in a country like this people can go for 48 hours without light.
We had foodstuffs such as fish and meat in the fridge, which almost got bad due to lack of electricity.
With this light issue, Others were not able to have their phone charged, thus not favoring those holding businesses online.
Having my phone shut down due to power shortage made me lose a job opportunity because I am a freelancer and I must always be online in case a client needs a service.
Moreover, Brianna brought up the fact that the communication on this light seizure by the company in charge of electricity in Cameroon was not well done.
Someone like me, I was not informed because I didn't know. It is when they cut the light that they told me that actually it was for 2 days. So they did not communicate it in a good manner in such a way that everybody shall be able to know.
Following the diverse difficulties faced by these citizens, as mentioned above, the Cameroon Electricity Company has to look into this problem.
Christelle Solange Mando in that report, like I said, in one of our lead stories, and she's here with me in the studio. Good afternoon to you, Mapala Zita.
Good afternoon, ABEL BELA SAMARI.
Zita, we continue with our societal page with this mysterious story of a presumed dead man who returned to his family compound over the weekend, scaring hell out of his family members and neighbors. The man, whose name we got as Ndomo Esumba Lucas, reportedly died on April the 16th, 2023 and was buried on the 27th of May 2023. Barely 3 months after the death and burial, however, the 68-year-old man returned to his family home last Saturday, saying that he was undergoing treatment at the Jamot Hospital. In line with this, Zita, you have asked some series of questions to some people, like a traditionalist and a pastor, on the possibility of a dead man returning to life and what can explain the situation.
According to the traditionalist Francois Bingono, the late but alive person experienced a zombie transition.
A zombie is somebody who died mystically. The soul is foul, and 3 days after the burial ceremony, they will come and collect him mystically, and he will walk as a mystical slave somewhere. He will walk and will wait for the real death of his death.
Francois Bingono goes further to explain what happens in the spirit realm for such a situation to occur.
This is not a natural death. He did not die at all. They will turn his heart, and the heart will beat in the back. The common people will think that he died. That is what happened when we say Kong, when we say Famla. It is a matter of killing people mystically.
So what then happens for such a partly spirit, partly human to return to their homes? The traditionalist explains.
There are two possibilities for them to come back home. If they are rebels where they are walking, they can free them. The second possibility is that during the burial ceremony, people practice some rituals to let him not go and walk as a zombie.
From a Christianity view, Pastor Tancha Ivor says nothing is strange again in our African continent.
Nothing is impossible under heaven. If truly he died and was buried and now he has come back, then it's mystical. And mystical happenings are not strange to us in Africa.
Questioned if this could be a sign of the end time, the pastor said such happenings have nothing to do with biblical revelations.
It is not a sign of the end time, because the Bible says in the book of Matthew chapter 24 that the gospel of Jesus Christ shall be preached to the ends of the world, and then the end will come. End time is not determined by the evil that is happening around. It's not determined by people dying and coming back.
While investigations are ongoing to get a clearer explanation of the situation, our dead but alive man is at his Nguso home reuniting with his family.
Mapala Zita, in that story, will take you to this other societal story. Since the advent of social media in Cameroon, some of our celebrities decided to use this media for their personal propagation and propaganda, and this is backfiring on some of them, as some Cameroonian celebrities are going through series of insults, challenges from the hands of their admirers on a daily basis, following their life activities. A student journalist on internship, Mendomo Erica, questioned some Cameroonians on the reason of these attacks and if they think it is a good behavior. Take a listen to her report.
Some celebrities in the country are being assaulted by their followers on social media. But what are some of the reasons of this act?
They are the ones who publish everything about their lives everywhere. They live and allow several people to give their opinions. These attacks are sometimes a result of the frustrations of the people who envy these celebrities. Suddenly it draws towards insults, which is what they deserve.
But Ney condemns the celebrities as he says that they are not of good impact on youths.
The celebrities, they deserve the attack for the moment because they are not doing well. They publish for the moment does not have an impact. It does not give lessons to some of the youths. I think they have to be silenced for some period. They are not showing good example. What they are going through for the moment is just a piece of lesson for them.
Despite all these blames, Tatiana thinks it is not a good way of reacting towards them. Above all, they represent our country at the international scale.
To an extent, it's not normal because these public figures represent the country in one way or the other when they lead the country and all. Then, to an extent, the voice of the people. So when they are being having personal attacks and such, it's a bit destroying their reputation. They lose credibility in front of the eye of the people. They also have their own personal life there. So they have errors that they make, and these errors be exposed in front of the population. This is the reason of many
These personal attacks are as well a result of growing rate of youth unemployment because they are the most active concerning social media attack, which is a deplorable act for our country.
I will take you out of the country. A Somali military source have said that 25 soldiers were killed when a man wrecked himself with explosive and donated himself among soldiers who were queuing up in the Jalsat College campus. The military has not made any official comment on the incident. 48 others were said to have been injured and taken to the hospital in Mogadishu. A newborn baby has been born on the Sudan-Chad border. The baby named Mohammed was born by the roadside as her mother, Arafa, crossed into Chad, fleeing the fighting in Sudan. This is coming days after the World Food Program says it is rapidly boosting its support on the Chad-Sudan border to deal with thousands of people fleeing fighting between Sudanese military faction. The UN agency says about 250,000 people have fled to Chad since the conflict began in April 2023. I will still stay out of the country to say President Putin says Russia is capable of replacing exports of grains to Africa from Ukraine after he withdrew from a deal allowing their safe shipment across the Black Sea. The Kremlin statement says Moscow could provide the grain on a commercial and free of charge basis. In a year up to June 2022, Russia was on one of the largest supplier of wheat to African continent, exporting 10.18 million tons in the same period. Ukraine exported 6.3 million tons to the continent of Africa. We come back to talk sport. First, we say good afternoon to you, Evans William Jobati.
Good afternoon, ABEL Bela Samari.
You say the 2023 Joint Domestic Cricket League and Cup of Cameroon have now ended in Yaoundé.
The joint 2023 Cricket Domestic League and Cup of Cameroon were played over the weekend at the Lycée General Leclerc here in Yaoundé. During the women's finals played on Saturday 22nd, Western Ladies Cricket Club of Chang beat Academic Cricket Club of Douala 67 runs to 66, while in the men's category, Academic Cricket Club of Douala emerged winners by thrashing Cup Pioneers of Yaoundé 129 runs against 61. Let us listen to the national president of the Cameroon Cricket Federation.
Today's finals have again proven the point that Cameroon cricket has come to stay. Cameroon cricket is making its name amongst the big names of federations in Cameroon. Cricket in itself is a popular discipline in Cameroon already. We are grateful to the Minister of Sports and Physical Education. So Cameroonian children are jubilating. Cameroonian children are happy with cricket. And we have thousands in the regions who are yearning to play cricket. So we only plead that the authorities that be through the Ministry of Sports and Physical Education come to our hub so that we can satisfy this big population yearning to play cricket in Cameroon.
Let's welcome Florent Nguyam, who is here with a summary of this newscast in the French language. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, ABEL Bela Samari. Sago 2023, la 12e édition s'est ouverte ce jour à Yaoundé. Pouvoirs publics, entrepreneurs, partenaires et citoyens aborderont pendant cette période des questions de développement infrastructurel et de transformation structurelle de l'économie nationale. Journée mondiale des cousins et cousines. L'événement qui se célèbre ce 24 juillet 2023 vise à reconnaître l'amour et les liens que l'on partage vis-à-vis de ses membres de la famille. Soulignons que l'origine de cette fête reste inconnue et qu'elle ne s'appuie sur aucune signification culturelle et religieuse de façon particulière. À l'étranger, France, Emmanuel Macron prône l'ordre et le retour de l'autorité à l'entame de sa tournée ce jour en Nouvelle-Calédonie dans le Pacifique. Ceci fait suite à la crise des retraités ayant abouti à un remaniement ministériel la semaine dernière, ainsi qu'à la mort du jeune Naël tué en fin du mois de juin par la police pour refus d'obtempérer. Et puis en sport, les vainqueurs de la Coupe du Cameroun de cricket 2023 sont connus depuis hier. Il s'agit de Western Lady Cricket Club chez les dames après une victoire de 67 runs contre 66 face à Academy Cricket Club. Et chez les messieurs, Academy Cricket prend sa revanche sur Campionies Cricket Club par un score de 129 runs contre 61.
And it is with that summary in the French language that we wrap up this edition of our 2 p.m. newscast. The team keeping you company this afternoon, we have Romiale Kume, our sound engineer, plus our copyright clerk. Jean-Marie Otto was our video editor on our Facebook/YouTube page, Ria FM Cameroon. The news was produced by Finger Crispin. Jementa did the news editing under the coordination of our Director General, Jean-Pascal Antala. General supervision was ensured by Reverend Pastor Bisai Emmanuel Noy. For presentation and editorial coaching, my name is Abel Bela Samari. Sitting next to me is Raissa Parker with the second part of Fisher Royal. Once again, good afternoon to you.
Une fois encore, bon après-midi, Abel Bela Samari. Et bon après-midi à tous les auditeurs. Deuxième partie, page pratique, la musique, encore des questions. À tout à l'heure.
À tout à l'heure, Aïssa.
Ensemble.